more experience than that. Not only with competition training, but also with life in general. So that's very important as well. Yeah, good night.
All right, Pete. Well, it's really interesting because we've done several of these panels, and I get to sit up here with some of these, the most amazing coaches here. And, you know, I've been in the game for 30 years myself, coaching and as an athlete. And when I listen to each of these guys, Ryan, Kim, Kyle, Ingrid, I say to myself, God, these guys are so smart. Because everything that I read and everything that I look about, there's so much information out there. And one of the things I think is a value of having a coach or somebody who's experienced is to be able to take all of that information that you find out there and to put it into its proper perspective and its proper priority. Now, my training approach for my guys and for myself has changed pretty dramatically over the past 30 years. As I started, when I first started lifting weights, I would use a methodology where, well, let me take the weights and see how much weight can I lift. And, you know, that was what all the guys in the gym did when you're 19, 20 years old. You lift as much weight as you can and hopefully something will grow. But as you start to refine and finesse your own connection, your neuromuscular connection to your muscles, then you start to see that it's not so much the raw weight, the number on the bar or on the machine, but it's how you can connect and activate the different muscle fiber types. And as Kim and Ryan have both said, their approach is they use all different approaches. A high volume approach for a warm-up or a high volume approach for what Ryan does at the end of his specific muscle targeting exercises. He'll do a 30 or 40 rep set at the end after hitting the explosive muscle fibers, then getting into more endurance fibers towards the end. So you're targeting all three different muscle fiber types. As Kim had said, which is really true, all of the muscles have a different degree, but they all have the three different muscle fiber types: the endurance fibers, the strength fibers, and intermediate fibers. So you have to approach it in an eclectic combination of a heavy, ballistic type training, being careful, of course, for injury and isolation and range of motion, as Kim had said, but then you have to take also and target the more endurance fibers, whether you do it at the beginning in a warm-up set or your first couple of exercises, or whether you do it towards the end, like Ryan had said, with his 30 and 40 rep burnout sets, is what I would call it with my guys. And that all enforces the neuromuscular connection. Because whether you're going heavy or whether you're going volume, the intensity is just the amount of work that your muscle is going through. So the intensity will always be high. You always want to push your body to a point of near failure. In some cases, take it always to momentary muscular failure, because that's going to connect the mind to the muscle. And that's one of the things I think, working with a good coach who can watch your form and watch your technique and watch your pace and how you're utilizing the muscle fibers, how you're activating them, that's what's going to make the difference.
Thank you, Pete. You know, as a top athlete, not only on the fitness industry, but any other sport in the world, is the battle between genetics and determination and hard work. And as a judge, I confront that every single time on the stage. Many times I see athletes, they're not sometimes the most genetically gifted athletes, but they're able to succeed and win the shows. But what's interesting is, in the perspective of the trainers here, is that they get guys that are very well genetically gifted, and girls, but sometimes they're not the ones that finishing first. So I want to ask that question. I see many times, you know, videos on zero gravity. You guys are training multiple athletes there. What is that? How coachable are people, and how that makes it part of their success compared to their genetics?
We do have the privilege to train with each other every day. So I have everybody from the first-time athlete that knows nothing about the sport all the way up to the IFBB Pro Bikini Girl. So they get to train and experience the workout with the best of the best. So that way when they're first starting out, they know and they can see what they're trying to attain, but also they're going to be pushed, you know, past their normal limits of if I was just personally training one-on-one the new girl. Because again, I don't go easy on them, and I definitely don't let them out of any of the weight, or we do a lot of plyometric work to create balance as well. So they're going to be pushed by the group, by every single girl that's in there at every level that they're at. So that way you are motivated and you want to come back the next day, even if you wake up and you can't even walk, because you know that the other girls are going to be there, and you definitely don't want to get left behind.
You know, talking about genetics, that's something that I feel very strongly about. You know, I have this conversation all the time, and I have several of the pros on my team that have been top Olympians that did not have the best genetics. And I've watched athletes walk through my door who could have been a Mr. Olympia title holder, who never even earned a pro card. Now that being said, that comes down to the amount of work you're willing to put in. And the one correlation that I could always put together here is the more successful I see everybody have. I have athletes, Joseph Lee, who is the top 10 at the Mr. Olympia this year. Joseph Lee, it works 60 hours a week as a full-time job and commutes an hour and a half each way to my gym 5 days a week. I've never heard him complain. And due to that, Joe was one of those gentlemen who had, I thought, honestly, no potential to even winning his class at an NPC show at one point in time when he started with me. And now is probably not only one of the best athletes on my team, but he's one of the best athletes in the world. And that truly comes down to just his amount of determination and hard work that he puts in, not only on stage, but in every area of his life. And because of that, he's a role model and a leader for everybody in this industry to look at this guy and model their career and their life off of a guy like this.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for making that point, because that is a very important point. I see so many athletes that come to me and some of these coaches and say, look, I'm going to quit my job and just focus on competing. And that's like a really crucial mistake, because the most competent athletes, as Ryan said, are athletes that are good in every single aspect of their life, not only on the competition life. Actually, Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, was Mr. Olympia for 8 times, and during 5 years of his title run, he was a police officer in Texas, working over 60 hours a week. So it's unbelievable how some athletes would give up their jobs to compete. That's like, once you're successful on a competition, you're also successful in your life. Kim?
Yeah, and I mean, speaking on the framework of genetics and kind of expounding in a little different area. I mean, as trainers, each client that comes up to you, they're going to have their own genetic thumbprint. They're going to have their bodies. It's our responsibilities as a trainer to look at a physique objectively, explain to you the strengths of your genetics, and explain to you the weakness of your genetics. And what our thought process is on how to make this body be the best it can be. That being said, I think sometimes expectations and what people see, and I tell them all the time, because I've been very blessed. I have a lot of top-end athletes that work with me, and girls come to me and, you know, I want to look like Angelica Teixeira or I wing work. You know, if you're 5'8", you're not going to want to look like Norman. She's 4'8". And so you have to make sure that when you line your expectations up, make sure that the genetic structures are similar genetic structures. That way your goal and what you're trying to accomplish and where you're trying to go with your physique, it's a very real picture. You're not setting yourself up for failure. You want to set yourself up for success. And genetics are only as good as you work. You know, if you put your time in and you put together a good game plan so that you can balance your structure out and get yourself to be the best possible physique you can be, that's only, as trainers, we're only as good as our clients allow us to be. And so we have the knowledge to help you, and we have the knowledge to show you the pathway. That work is what makes it work. And I'm the first one to say my clients make me. They really do. And so when you work with an athlete that gives you 110%, they trust in the process, and don't be quite so quick to jump off a boat. Give the process a chance to work, because changes take time. And so whether you're now having, you know, blessed genetics may get you from point A to point B a little quicker, but the bottom line is our genetically gifted athletes, and believe me, we all have them up here, they have to work just like you do, and they have to put in their time and energy, or they won't reach their full potential. So, you know, be sure when you're looking at your goals and you're setting up the goal of where you're trying to take your physique, be sure that that's a very attainable goal, and the picture you're designing is the best picture that's going to fit you.
Thank you, Kim. Before I move to Kyle, does anybody has any questions that they want to ask? Please make sure to raise your hand, and I will go ahead. You can just come close here because of the microphone. So.
I was just wondering how you know when you are overtraining versus like when you're right where you need to be for like where you need to go.
I'll let Kyle take that and then I'll go.
You know you're overtraining when you stop seeing a result. When you're putting in more effort than you normally would, or you feel tired, exhausted, and your body's no longer changing. You're not losing weight, you're gaining weight, you're stressed, your cortisol's up. That's how you know you're overtraining. It's a very common problem. People will think, oh, I need to do cardio 7 days a week. It's going to make me leaner. And then they don't get that rest day, their body adapts to it, it becomes stressed, it starts shutting down, and you're no longer going to see any change or result in your physique.
Go ahead.
Well, I think there are a few clinical indicators. One is an increased heart rate in the morning. So if you monitor your heart rate every morning, I don't know if all of you do, but I do, but you'll start to see it climb 5 points, 10 points if you wake up and you're not rested enough. But also the philosophy is, it's not so much overtraining, it's under-resting. It's what are we doing in the rest of our lives that's taking the energy away from our recovery capabilities. If you're not sleeping but you're really tired, that's another clinical indicator. So if you're not sleeping, you're trying to go to bed on time like your schedule says, and you can't fall asleep, or you wake up and you can't fall back to sleep, that's another indicator that you may be overtraining. And also bloating. Kyle had mentioned the elevated in cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and that causes water retention and bloating. You can see bloating objectively on a scale. If you're gaining weight when your calories are low, you should be losing weight. If you're not losing weight and you're actually gaining, or if you look in the mirror and you look watery, that's an indicator that your cortisol is likely high. Again, that's not what many people call overtraining necessarily. That may be under-resting.
Thank you. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you have a question. Okay. Ingrid, do you want to add a little bit to that, and Kim?
I can, because I actually have hormonal imbalances myself caused through stress. So I have high cortisol, high estrogens, it changed the moment I started sleeping. The moment I start taking care of my mind, not just my body, not just because of the way I wanted to look, but just to be healthy. So it's very important that you're just not training to look a certain way, but also to be the best in all areas of your life, and that comes with your mind and with your inside, with your heart. So, it's very, very, very important that you sleep. For the past 6 years, I haven't slept more than 4 hours a day of choice. This was a choice I made for my business. It wasn't a good one because it ended up affecting me in the long run. And I am getting it fixed now, and I found ways of getting it fixed. But when it comes to overtraining, like Pete said, be in tune with your body. You need to know when your body's not responding, and communicating that with your coach, because we can only do so much from the other side, and your body's not responding, and we don't know what you're really doing 100%. So, very important, right, Pete?
I actually think it's a really good question about overtraining versus under-resting. One of my athletes several years ago, we were training for the Olympia, and it was cardio, and she was just doing this cardio and cardio. Sometimes she would sneak in extra cardio sessions, and when we look at her physique, yeah, you see it a lot. She was getting watery and smooth, and we're looking at her, and you're complying on your diet, are you cheating on your diet? Yes, and actually she was so motivated, she was doing extra cardio, and what ended up happening, she was actually looking worse and worse over the past other weeks coming up to the show. So what we did was we basically tied her to her bed and said no cardio for the next 3 days, and she lost 6 pounds in 3 days. Boom, because the water came off, her body adjusted. The sleep, which is the magic, that's the time when you're growing, and that's the time you're also losing the most fat. So if you're sleeping, you'll be in the most healthy state with hormonal balance, and you'll actually find yourself getting more results.
One of the things that I've always told people, or that I tell all my guys all the time, is my theory is you can't really overtrain, you can only undereat. So that being said, you've got to remember about the nutrition side of this too. Really the recovery comes down to the rest period and what you're fueling your body with nutrition-wise. So really overtraining, it can be done by training too long, but most of the time people overtrain by underfeeding the body with the macronutrients it needs post-training.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a combination of nutrition and resting. But one other thing I want to make sure that all of you guys understand, because they just raised a very important point here, that It's very underestimated in our industry. You really do not grow when you're working out. You grow when you're resting, when you're sleeping. And resting is one of the most underestimating aspects of the fitness industry. In the elevation of cortisol levels also is very, very important. You see a lot of athletes that are in tremendous shape, really, really good shape, but like the week before the show, they start getting really, really stressed about the show, and what happens? Their cortisol level goes up, and you can see how that deteriorates their condition dramatically. So that's very, very important. Yep.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to go to a simplistic place, usually your mind will tell you when it's exhausted. Your mind will tell you when your body is tired. So when you no longer want to go to the gym, it's a drudge to get there. When you get to the gym, when you're just looking forward to getting the workout done and you're not excited about getting into your training and getting into the intensity of what you're trying to do, your mind is a good indicator to let your, because it's reading off what your body's telling you. And so pay attention to how you're feeling. When you go to the gym should be an excitement. It shouldn't be a place where you're going where you're feeling like, okay, now I got to go labor and get this done. You should be excited about your workouts. You should be excited about your training. You should be excited about your cardio. And so when that starts to become an indicator, then sometimes it gets to be a good place where it's time to take a day off, give your body some relaxation, because relaxation is the key to your body's chemistry in normalizing itself. And believe me, all of our body's chemistries need to stay in balance. You get your body chemistry out of balance, then you're going to fight recovery, you're going to fight energy, you're going to fight growth, you're going to fight everything.
A big thing that I see with like the overtraining is, again, girls, we are all about glutes, right? So I have athletes come in and I gotta grow my glutes, I gotta grow my glutes. Like guys that always use the back of their chest. And I hear them come to Ryan and they'll say, Coach, I'm training my chest every day. Why is it not growing? The girls, I'm doing glutes every single day. Why are they not growing? Because for that reason right there, you can't train it every single day and expect it to grow. You're continuously breaking down the muscle fibers, not allowing enough rest period for the growth to take place. So what do you expect to happen if you're hitting glutes 7 days a week without letting any recovery time? That's where you want to pay attention to the coaches. When they put together your training plan, don't secretly go behind their back and do 2 extra sessions of cardio or 2 extra sessions of training if that's not what you're told to do. For that reason right there, is we're telling you a certain amount of training to do for a specific reason, for enough rest time in between each session.
Yeah, that's one analogy that I always make about training and overtraining. It's like the training is the stimulation of the muscle. So think about like the training being the sun hitting your skin. So when the sun hits your skin, of course, it creates, the body creates a protection, and that's like making your skin darker. But what happens if you continue to tan more and more and more, you burn yourself, and that's what happens when you overtrain. Instead of producing more muscle, you reduce the amount of muscle that you have on your body. So let me see if anybody else has any other question. Let me go right here first.
What your philosophies are for your athletes in the off-season. Like how much weight they're supposed to gain or lose. You know, a lot of people, they gain a ton of weight. Some people try and stay within like 10 pounds of their stage weight. So I was just wondering what your different philosophies are.
For my guys specifically, you know, guys different than ladies, the goal is, you always want to do it with an eye for balance and aesthetics, but it's mostly about size. Even in the physique guys, it's size in a certain shape. It's focusing on growing the delts, focusing on growing the back, focusing on keeping the waist small. You don't want to put on a tremendous amount of size, and you don't need a giant amount of extra calories to grow muscle. You need a little bit extra protein and a little bit extra carbohydrates to grow muscle. The hard part is for coaches, and this is, I know all of you guys would agree with it, it's teaching the athletes that when you're not on prep, if you're really serious about your sport, you're still on a plan. The off season is not an off season where you're off. it's a growing phase, it's a growing time. So it's like, it's a healing time, it's a time to get a little bit more aggressive with the nutrition, but it's not a time to blow it out and put on 30 or 40 pounds. I would say for the most part, as a general rule, for our camp, we would like, although it doesn't often happen, for our women to stay within 10 to 12 pounds of their stage weight before they take water. So, it's about a 15-pound swing, and I think that's healthy. It helps with hormonal replenishment. For guys, it's a little different. The off-season, we really try to get aggressive, and some of our guys who need to put on more size, we get a little more aggressive, and we always watch to make sure that they have at least a semblance of a 4-pack through their belly fat for the guys. That's a general rule, but it's sometimes up to 25 pounds, a little bit bigger, sometimes up to 30 pounds for guys. But it really depends on how big they are and what their needs are, and also their body type. And mesomorph to put on muscle quicker, endomorphs, you got to be a little bit more careful with how you're putting the size on, because you got to take it off. But I like to keep all of our athletes, we like to keep them a little bit on the leaner side now. That isn't always the case.
I'm going to have somebody else add that.
Yeah, I believe it should be called on-season, not off-season.
Always on-season.
Because during that time is when you really have an opportunity to make changes to your physique. 12 weeks out from the show, I know now it's popular to say, well, I'm doing a 12-week prep. The 12 weeks is just polishing up what you've been doing. That last 12 weeks is going to expose either the hard work or lack of hard work you did for the last 9 months. So whatever you've been doing in between times is going to be exposed when you step on that stage. That last 12 weeks, like I said, is just finally putting the final touches on what you've been doing. You cannot come to me and say, hey, I've never lifted weights before, I've never done this, but I'm going to do 12-week prep, and expect to beat somebody who's been training for 10 years, regardless of when they are stepping on stage. Well, there's a difference between an athlete who trains because they want to compete, or an athlete who competes because they like to train. And there's a really big difference.
Yeah, I don't believe myself on a 12 weeks diet. I believe like you need to have a 52 weeks diet if you want to be successful. And I see a lot of athletes put a lot of weight on the off season, and then when they come down, what happens? They stay on the same weight that they were before, but the only difference now is that their skin is loose. They actually look worse by putting excessive weight on the off season. You need to be diet the whole year if you want to be successful. Like any other sport, you cannot train for basketball just 12 weeks before the NBA season starts. You're going to be training the whole time. Any other questions here?
Is there a certain format when you come out for posing? Do you clockwise, counterclockwise, when you come on the stage? If I come on the stage from